I felt the depth of your heart and your soul and your pain, and how deeply genuine you are in your inquiry and seeking to really reconcile the conflict that you do feel and experience, and the conflict you recognise that is rooted in our history here in Australia. And as you would be aware, I'm pretty sure, gauging from your letter, that you may have read my autobiography as well, that I do have Indigenous blood. I'm very aware of that conflict. It lives in my DNA. And what I want to speak to first is the appearance of the dichotomy, and how, if we recognize the dichotomy, we can work with it in a different context, I guess. And that is, that you mention that your desire to overcome the conflict had led you to move away from it, right? To move away from the place, to hope to find some transcendence, to bring some peace perhaps back to it. In a way, though, it can be a form of avoidance. And I think that's what you're discovering now, is that it hasn't resolved that. If anything, it's heightened your sense of unresolved experience, that it isn't reconciled, that the conflicts still live in this land, and your sensitivity to that, of course, heightens that in your awareness. What is really interesting is, or what strikes me as you were talking, you mentioned, for example, karma. And what that points to, I feel, is the element that is personalized. Karma really speaks to a sense of person, me, the I, my karma, or the other's karma, or our group karma. But it's quite personal. We make it something very personal. And I feel that what is necessary for us to move through and beyond the conflicts and the violations that we have perpetrated or suffered is a call for us to move beyond the personal, is to step back into creation itself, to see our nature as humans, that we all as humans have the shadow side and the divine side. We all as creation are cycles upon cycles of creation and destruction, of blossoming and fading and rotting. We're all part of these cycles. So in a way, it asks us to first untangle ourselves from the personal perception in order to truly reconnect. And that's the extraordinary thing, is that when we depersonalize enough, we untangle enough from that personal stance, taking it personally and wearing that burden, we're then able to come as the unique person to the situation with far greater freedom, with far greater compassion and truth and understanding and surrender, and a far greater capacity to digest the bitter fruit. And I feel that's the opportunity here for you, is not to seek a way out of that meal, less like, really, here we are in Australia, we're being asked to sit down and have that meal together. We're being asked to really digest everything that is a part of our shared experience. And so that's the paradox, is how can we strike that balance between the impersonal, to really dig down into our nature as human, to nature as creation, and therefore surrender to her, surrender to it, to this, to us, and say, so here we are Here we are in all our magnificence and our horror. Here we are in all our beauty and all our ugliness. Here we are in all our wisdom and all our stupidity. Here we are. And so, does that mean you need necessarily direct interaction, for example, with Indigenous people? Not necessarily. What it means is a reconfiguring of your own experience of what it means to be alive, to be a part of this human journey, this experience, and to surrender deeply into this, to invite this, rather than seeking to transcend it or go beyond it. And ironically, that's when we find the greatest freedom, is when we just really go, okay, I'm just going to be all of this. Yeah. And I really feel that deeply in my own journey. You know, what I share with you now is coming from my own direct journeying with all of this, of being confronted with the so many layers and aspects to this history and this present moment reality of our shared experience here in Australia. And it is so complex and so multifaceted, and I can only be my own experience. You can only be your own experience with this. And there comes the paradox again, that, you know, I can only be my own experience, but does that mean I have to take it personally? No. So as for your own process in this, and you know this deeply, dear one, because you are so dedicated in your spiritual commitments and your surrender, you know that it can only be moment to moment. We can't understand, how do I go about this as a sequence of steps? We can understand it in essence. We can understand some of the guiding signposts that really point us to a particular quality of being in relationship to this. And whatever that will reveal. And then there'll be another set of signposts. And that is the unfolding. That is how we are. So I guess I deeply encourage you to allow yourself the space and the way, and for life to show you how you can benefit from this bitter meal. Because you will find something so sweet and profound within it.